Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webcast. My name is Michael Chance, and I'm the program visionary here at Six Connects. We've got a very exciting webcast for you prepared today. We're going to be talking about virtual events that captivate your audience. And with me, we've got a wonderful team here from CPA Australia and also an account lead on that project from Six Connects. So let's talk about the agenda coming up here. We're going to go over some brief introductions, and then we're going to talk about kind of the history that basically was behind this collaborative journey. We're going to jump into a live screen share and actually look at various different CPA Australia events. And then we're actually going to go into some suggestions for the open universe and how to basically stack solutions, Six Connects features and partner solutions together. And then we're going to wrap it up with a Q&A. So let's get into the introductions. Again, my name is Michael Chance. You can call me Chance. We got a lot of Michaels here at Six Connects. I'm the program visionary. Basically, my job is to measure trends, develop best practices, and place those within the vision gallery. I also assist on consultations, like the ones we actually assisted CPA Australia with. And also, I also try to be a little bit cheerful, provide inspiration to our clients, because as we all know, virtual events a bit challenging, such as also physical events. So we want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your experience, not just putting these events on, but also building them as well. We want it to be a good process. And also a little bit about me, I actually have had over a decade of experience as a project manager in this industry as well. Going to hand it over to Amy Gates. Amy, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Chance. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, my name is Amy Gates. I lead the sales here in the APAC region for Six Connects. I've been in the Australian events business for now around about 10 years, and I joined Six Connects just under 2 years ago now. And since then, I've had the pleasure of working with the team over at CPA Australia and helping them put together, I guess, their strategy and their events over the past 2 years.
Wonderful. Thanks, Amy. Jumping over to Meg Bowers. Meg is the Events Experience Manager at CPA Australia. Meg, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day. My name's Meg Bowers. I'm the Events Experience Manager for CPA Australia. I have about 15 years experience in the events industry, particularly in large corporate events. So previous to CPA Australia, I was an executive producer for a large global events company. And my real focus in that space was around sort of the technical production, show calling, and then moving into broadcasting, which was obviously a very nice fit when we went virtual.
Wonderful. And then we also have Mike Bergeron, Conference Manager at CPA Australia. Mike? Meg, would you mind introducing Mike?
Of course. Yep. Mike is my colleague at CPA Australia. He is the conference manager for CPA Australia. And Mike's remit is to work very closely with myself in the programming team. So he is in the education space. So all of the amazing speakers, the lineup and the program that you see for all of our conferences, both face-to-face and virtual, that's Mike and his team. He has worked in the events industry for probably about the same time as myself, from kind of end to end, a lot in the association space.
Wonderful. And kind of jumping into a little bit of the history here about CPA, just so everybody gets a little bit of a cornerstone in understanding where they've come from. They have a long-standing history in conducting physical congresses. So basically, it started about 61 years ago when they first started with their Congress. And they actually have close to 170 global members in their association. Now, if we got Mike back, would love to kind of talk a little bit about where you guys were kind of leading up in 2019, and then also how you had to make a major shift to virtual only in 2020 due to the pandemic. Do we have Mike back?
I am here, absolutely.
Hey, Mike. It wouldn't be a live webinar without dropping off at least once, right?
It wouldn't be, and it had to happen to me. All good. And look,
good.
this is part of the risk that we take from going from a face-to-face. Different challenges on both ends, but ultimately, with the click of a button, we can get back on track. So real quick, I believe we're at the point where, yes, in 2019 at CPA Australia, our portfolio of conferences had about 20 conferences, many of which would be roadshowed in multiple cities. When the pandemic hit, we had to make a very difficult but necessary decision to go to a virtual environment, where now our portfolio sits at around 5 conferences. But these 5 conferences, the best thing, and we'll touch on this a bit more later on, but we've been able to expand our reach and get in touch with a lot more of our members than we have in the past. So it was a very easy decision for us to do. And it's through in looking at what was in the market that we decided to choose 6 Connects because of the different opportunities and whatnot that you guys were able to provide us with. So yes, it was definitely the right decision to make looking back, and something we'll keep doing moving forward as well.
Wonderful. And you guys also, as you said, you had several different types of congresses and different types of various, congresses and conferences, 10 different types actually. And going to virtual, you specifically focused on 2 different types of conferences. One that's public practice and one that's actually Congress. And we're going to take a look at these 2 different styles of events, because I think what you guys did extremely well and very intuitively from your first event in 2020 was actually come up with 2 different types of virtual events that you can kind of ping pong back between and try different use cases and different functionality, which has yielded quite a unique experience with your latest event we're going to take a live demonstration of here in a moment. But in 2021, what was really interesting too is we actually started the Visionary program, and that was when I was introduced to your team after a full year of you doing events. And I just want to say, kind of to preface this, everything you're about to see, again, I want to make sure the majority of the accolades go to the CPA Australia team. They did an amazing job imagining their experiences and growing them over time. I'd like to think the Visionary program assisted with about a little extra 10% towards the end there, because you guys are already well on your way to having successful experiences. So as we take a look here on slide 10, our incremental growth from one event to the next. Again, we talked about those 2 different styles of events: virtual Congress, public practice. Again, you had both of these events in 2020, but shifting into 2021 and talking with our Visionary program, you started to implement different types of rooms within the experience and different types of elements and features. And of course, in 2021, we had kind of a landmark year with adding various different types of functionality, AI matchmaking, meeting scheduling, and things like that. So I'd love to kind of hear, just at like at a very umbrella level from you and Meg, just a little bit about where you started with your goals in 2020 and how that's kind of shifted over time.
Absolutely. So as we've said, it was not only a change for us to make that decision, but it was also a change for our members and those who actually attended face-to-face. So 2020 was basically easing people into that virtual environment, trying to recreate the calendars and the experiences that you would have in a face-to-face in a virtual environment. We all thought that we'd be back to normal in 2021. And when we realized that it wasn't going to be the case, with the saturation of all the great events that I'm sure many people on this call are putting on as well, we really wanted to stick out in that space and really create a virtual experience rather than a face-to-face conference on a virtual platform. So working with you, and especially in that vision gallery, we were able to take a lot of those concepts and make them our own, as you've said. So in 2020, we used the 6 Connects room templates, which are, an amazing resource for us to have, and very inspirational as well, in some cases showing us that we can go outside of a conference center. And you'll notice for Virtual Congress 2021, we decided to go down the track of a custom 3D build for ourselves. And I'll hand over to Meg very briefly on that one to explain why her and her team felt that was the best way moving forward.
Thanks, Mike. Look, I think everything we do doesn't go without a vision. So we certainly don't throw spaghetti at a wall and see what sticks. Where, as soon as COVID hit, as a team, I'm very, very fortunate to have an amazingly high performing events team nationally and in New Zealand. And we all got in a room together to say, okay, what are the opportunities here that COVID is actually going to provide us, as opposed to, oh no, events are done, we're all out of jobs. It was actually a completely different approach for us. So for us, it was about brainstorming in that space as a team together. And, we have an amazing culture where everybody's ideas are heard, collected, refined. And then really for us, it was, setting the blocks in place, as Mike has said, for 2019 to have a really good, solid solution for our members. Our events team sits within our business unit called Member Experience, and that really underpins everything we do. We're constantly looking at it from a member experience perspective. So I think for the first year, we found a really good solution. We were quite... we wanted to take really note of, we have an audience who potentially aren't used to being in this virtual environment. So we wanted it to be a bit of a safe space, a bit of a comfort zone for them, something that looks and feels like a conference space that they're used to in a traditional environment. And then I guess for us, year on year, we're never satisfied with what we've produced. We're always looking for ways to enhance and again, bringing it back to the experience as to how we can, really, really elevate their experience. So for us, that was, looking at how far we can push from a 2D template perspective. And we really wanted to go deeper than that. We wanted to set a vision for ourselves and for our members that required far more customization. So we are very fortunate to have a multimedia and design partner who are very agile and really understand the space that we're working in that virtual experience space. So we worked very closely with them. Mike and I led the vision piece in terms of what we wanted that to feel like. And again, my team is so excellent at constantly keeping Mike and I on track as to, but what does that mean for the member? So we were really able to push boundaries in terms of our imagination, our creativity, and then have an amazing team to back us up to actually execute that.
Wonderful. And again, we want to make sure we highlight this for everyone. As of this past year, the Vision Gallery is available for you to utilize for all of our active clients. So if we have anybody listening to this through the Way to Do Virtual right now and you are not an active client, just keep in mind we have plenty of resources to assist you like we did with CPA. So there is a dedicated site with 20 plus different client events. I hope to get this one in there because it's such a fantastic experience that they've built. There's best practices, resources. We even have the whole new section we're going to talk a little bit about today called Open Universe. And we've even gone a little bit further and allowed for custom code to actually be implemented throughout the site and the login page so that if you have any agencies or any team members that actually understand HTML, JavaScript, things like that, you can actually augment the software a bit further as well and kind of polish it up even further. So I do want to just throw out to the team here, we've got Kane Bell. If Kane's listening right now, kudos to you. Kane was a part of one of our consultations. He was encouraged to go into the Vision Gallery, and he, as of right now, and I think as of always, tops our leaderboard with over 21,000 points. And Kane is a part of the CPA Australia team. So again, really wonderful to see team members such as this adopting the best practices within this site. And also winning things in our monthly raffle. So again, encourage you to take a look around the experience and browse and learn at your own convenience. So let's jump into the event tour now. Again, you kind of got, I hope, a nice preamble to understand what these events were, what their goals were, what the history of CPA is. And what we're going to really take a kind of a focused target look at is basically these 5 different pillars for success and 5 different kind of key quadrants to build up and make sure you have a wonderful offering. 6 Connects assists in each of these different areas in unique ways. And we'll kind of talk a little bit about that, but I really want to focus this discussion on what was the inception of these different elements and rooms, because I think you're going to be pretty wowed by what this team did. Again, consider CPA moved from completely physical events in 2019 to virtual events in 2020. And then within 2021, made the leap to actually work with their own creative team to design their own experiences and even create several best practices for their own attendees. So I think you're going to be pretty encouraged here. So let's jump into our live screen share. All right. And can everybody see my screen?
Yep, we can see that now,
Perfect.
Michael.
Thanks, guys. Well, let's focus first on talking a little bit about registration. So I think one thing that's very unique about CPA is that even with your physical events, you kind of utilized a tool called Cvent, and you had great success with that, and you're very familiar with it. So I'd love to kind of just allow you to highlight, what does Cvent offer you? And then how easy is it for you to kind of pass that data over to 6NX with the integration available?
Absolutely. So we have our Cvent system is actually integrated with our member database. So that was a very key aspect for us to maintain. And the fact that we were able to integrate it was a big plus for us when choosing 6Connects. The best thing that came out of it is that in a virtual environment, we were really able to streamline the virtual registration process. And we have a lot of group bookings, employers booking on behalf of their employees. So we needed that capacity to streamline. So it didn't need any dietary requirements, didn't need any session selection, didn't need any of that stuff. We basically were able to get people through with their first name, last name, email, and company. In being able to do that, we then leveraged the registration form in 6Connects to really delve a lot deeper into the demographics of each member, making them create a profile for themselves on the platform. So that connection of why they were answering questions really meshed well with their experience on the platform itself. And with the introduction of AI matchmaking, that made it even more reason why people would provide us with that information via 6Connects versus in the Cvent payment registration form. So for us, we've been able to gain a lot of valuable intel through and data from our members and non-members as to what their preferences are. So it worked. And for those, we also had a single sign-on that we were able to facilitate directly via email.
And that's wonderful. And taking a look at the 6Connects login page, what it also afforded you was the ability to kind of simplify this and allow it as your basically gate of access. And if attendees, with this integration, if attendees put in an email address that is not registered, they're bounced back to the Cvent page. So it's a nice kind of process here that really refers users to the proper location. But Mike brought up a really great point, which is the Cvent site is great for capturing all that account information, purchasing an account, right? And then when they log into the experience, having that ability to customize their account or their profile details within the platform to, again, take advantage of things like AI matchmaking. So again, not having an attendee do all that all at once is also a really nice experience for the attendee. They don't have a very long list of elements to complete right off the bat. It's in stages. And again, you guys are also utilizing, I just want to call out real quick, high definition imagery here. So all of their imagery they created is at 2 or 3 times the normal dimensions that are noted within the platform. So they're enhancing the quality and fidelity of the images here on the 6Connects page too. Now, again, really blown away by what you guys did with your design for this latest Leadership Congress in October of this year. Again, this is close to 2 years of understanding of what to do with the platform. You had a creative team come on board and assist you with all the 3D and design work. And I know, Mike and Meg, you guys kind of dream big and you came up with a whole campus. But the thing that's so cool about this that gets me excited is a lot of our screen calibration pages to help attendees kind of configure the right view, they're usually just more text-driven and kind of, property-driven of how to make sure you're getting the best experience. But what you guys did is you actually kind of set the scene. You're creating a whole kind of villa and campus that attendees can experience. So again, fantastic job here. Once we jump into the lobby, I'd love to get your take on what the kind of strategy was around this room and what the focus was in the center here, because if we compare and contrast this to the first Congress, again, utilizing 6Connects templates, being able to add your branding here, you guys went a whole step above and beyond with your latest Congress. So what was the concept here after about a year of learning?
I'm happy to step in there.
Jump in on that one, Mike.
Go for it, Meg.
Look, I think for this one, we had some learnings up our sleeve. And obviously the 3D environment for us, this room was actually where we started the whole build. This was our first prototype for the rooms. We did some clay renders with our design team, and this was kind of the center of where everything grew. So much so, in fact, the calibration screen that you see with the external campus was probably one of the last pieces of the puzzle. And it was something that Mike and I were really passionate about because, as you correctly said, Michael, we wanted to set the scene. And for us, it was the perfect location. We didn't necessarily want to add an extra step in the actual environment, but we wanted the participants and the attendees to get a feeling that they were really part of an all-inclusive, experience that had been custom designed just for them. So I think probably with this one, the biggest learning for us was previously we'd had for example, the help desk in another room. What we wanted to do with this one is we had other click areas that we needed to build around the programming side of things. So we wanted to really take out any additional steps for people to be able to get the help and the necessary resources that they needed straight up. So for us, this was, while in the design process, it was the kind of cornerstone. We also wanted it to be that for attendees. In the past, we'd sort of felt that the lobby had become a bit of just a landing page to go elsewhere, whereas this one, we wanted it to be a bit more of a hub where if you were having any troubles, you could always come back to this central location and kind of restart your journey again. So, it was making sure that things like the navigation video and the navigation guide were very easily accessible from the first moment you entered the experience. Similarly, having that help desk, center really present for people to be able to, we want to make this experience as easy as possible. And then they can go out and explore all of the additional pieces. The team did an exceptional job with integrating the 2 rotating banners that you can see. We dedicated, obviously, the center one to what was happening on what we call the main auditorium, but we also wanted to make sure that there were other opportunities for easy navigation out into other areas and different kind of unique experiences that people may just by, organically navigating miss, things like what was happening in the social lounge and, again, utilising that space to call out our sponsors and partners. So pretty much the premise of this entire zone was to make it easy, accessible, but also really easy to navigate.
Wonderful. And again, I love the contextual messaging. I think one key thing to really consider within your lobby or any virtual room, you can have multiple cycling promos. I think sometimes our clients don't know that right off the bat, and you guys really utilized it nicely here. And again, if we take a look at previous events, there was more of a Jumbotron screen for the welcome video and navigation video. And even jumping into the 2021 public practice event, there was the use of actually starting to utilize cycling promos. And again, you guys did a fantastic job here, really front and center. All these promos, they can be time bracketed. They can also be entitled for specific groups. So just keep that in mind. If you have an event out there and you have specific groups of paying individuals or different groups of, like, say, VIP members, you can have certain sessions promoted here that are just seen by them. Doesn't require a whole additional room to be built. So again, fantastic job. And again, what I really like here too is you guys really gave contextual doorways. Instead of just having specific doorway signs, you made them angular. You made them feel integrated in the site. You utilize the info cards, which I don't think a lot of our clients utilize as much. It's really helpful. You can kind of keep all the positioning of these rooms to those cards. But you created something very unique with the program foyer, which is a lot of our clients, they'll utilize kind of like one central room for their theater or auditorium. You actually have a larger offering for this event because Congress is your biggest event every year. So you very cleverly placed 3 different rooms here, and you can hover over and explore. So I like how clean this is. And again, attendees can kind of just click on it and travel to it. Since we're already here in the auditorium, would love to get your understanding of what was the goal for your presentations and what was the experience like preparing some of these presentations? Because I know, Meg, you and I have talked a little bit about there's never too much prep for a live presentation. So it'd be great to understand a little bit about what went into this area and some of your sessions.
Yeah, I'll just quickly jump in from a design perspective, and then Mike can definitely talk to the programming side of things. Certainly from us, from a design perspective, again, wanting to push boundaries. We'd done the sort of stage at the end of the room, traditional kind of setup. We really wanted, the beauty of virtual is that we aren't restricted as much by budget. So we can actually dream big in terms of what our stage sets are. And for us, this room is the hero. We want to showcase Mike's program to the best of its ability. In keeping with that circular feel, we thought, well, why not? Let's again push those boundaries. We had the opportunity to do so by, customizing our own design, 3D design. So again, it was just all about focusing the attention of the user into that circular space where we could really highlight the program.
Wonderful. And
thanks, Meg.
I think, Mike, you also had some notes about a specific session as well, right?
Absolutely. It's what we discovered in launching our program, which was a Wednesday to a Friday. We also made sure with the global audience that we didn't oversaturate the program and made sure that they were timed at the right intervals. So if I look at the Australia Eastern Daylight Savings Time, we had sessions starting in the afternoon, our very first session. And that was to make sure that we got our West Coast members in WA and those in the Asia Pacific area. We also had evening sessions to make sure we got our colleagues and members from the UK. But one of the main sessions, which you brought down at the bottom, even though our live program was from Wednesday to Friday, we opened up the environment on the Monday and Tuesday so that with the LV00, how to connect meaningfully in a virtual space, just to give people an opportunity to test their videos, but more importantly, have an opportunity to get the most out of this environment. And this session is actually understandably the most viewed of our sessions on the platform at the moment, including our high profile names. And it really has, I think, contributed to people feeling like they are part of the experience, not just within these 3 days, but also outside of the virtual experience when we're all working in a virtual environment. A couple of things that really helped in the engagement piece. Over there on the right-hand side is the comments. We made sure that we had those on for all of our sessions once they were on demand. And most of them, what I was very happy to see is the rate session tab. We use a program called Slido. I'm sure many of you have heard of it, where you were able to rate the session you were on. And then most beneficial for us was the tab to the right-hand side of it, which is the rating itself, which displayed the rating of the session. So by being able to incorporate that, we all shop on Amazon or something similar, and being able to see the quality of the presentation, even before you get into it, entices you to contribute your ratings to it as well. So all of that together, I think, makes people feel like they are contributing rather than just watching.
Wonderful. And again, wonderful use of various different features and solutions all here. Great use of the thumbnails. Just in the interest of time, so we can kind of get through to the various other areas within about 5 minutes or so, I'm just going to highlight a couple other key concepts. Again, really beautiful design, and the team did a fantastic job allowing you contextually to travel around from one room into the next. So this foyer, instead of going back to the main foyer, you could just go from that auditorium directly into the ballroom and get into all the other speaker content here. In addition to that, we got the rooftop terrace. Mike, do you want to just very briefly make a note about what the design kind of aesthetic was here and kind of opening it up for the audience?
Yeah, it's all of these essentially are just an image in the background, and we knew that. But any experience, and the reason why you like watching a movie is because it all happens in your mind. All of this content was pre-recorded, and we released that. Even though we released the live sessions or started the live sessions in the afternoon, We released all the pre-recorded sessions early in the morning. This was a place to hang out, relax, watch it at your own leisure. So we wanted to create an environment that supported that watch anytime aspect. And with that, obviously, with those two words on the screen, it's very obvious what we're expecting in that.
And again, wonderful positioning.
And I think just to add,
yeah.
Sorry, Michael, I was just going to say, to add to that, to really bring it to life, because we had our live MC in the studios as part of the broadcast, the team had written into the script constantly, you know, I'll see you up on the rooftop terrace for some, you know, on-demand content. So we actually built the navigation of the site into the MC script as well, to ensure that people really got a feeling that we were all there with them.
Wonderful. And as we kind of travel around to the various other areas here, we're starting to get into other elements within those 5 key pillars, right? We talked about registration. We talked a bit about design, which of course flourishes throughout this site. We talked about sessions. Let's talk now about networking and engagement. So as you can see here from previous events, you know, this is the latest and greatest version of their networking lounge. If we take a look at previous events here, you can see that there's a series of cascading different topics, all public chats. And for the most part, I'd really love to hear, I think, Mike, you had kind of a note about specifically how popular the general chat was compared to others. But I'd love to just kind of hear what the whole decision was to kind of go from this roster of discussion to a singular discussion here and use more of the AI matchmaking.
Yep. So the reason for the big shift in terms of topics is, and again, you know, we tried our best, and that's what we thought was going to work in 2020. But what we discovered is most people went to the general chat. And that's why we decided to move all the comments to the sessions themselves, because we understood that not everybody coming to the networking lounge is going to have seen the same things or will be there consistently. So we wanted to make sure we captured people's reactions on the spot. And if you go into our newest version of the networking lounge, that's where we were able to bring the AI matchmaking, which we were able to rename Smart Networking. CPA Member Connect, which is off-platform, but allows our members to connect, you know, outside of the program, bringing all of these elements front and center, because it may not be obvious that they're actually, even though they're down at the navigation bar, for somebody that's new, they might not really know what they are. They might not feel inclined to click. So again, we just wanted to bring them all the different aspects of how to network, and it has proven to be more successful than in 2020.
And again, you guys are doing an amazing job also highlighting your sponsors within this area, various different activities. That's what I really love about this experience. You're not just giving kind of a one track of activities. You're allowing attendees to actually engage in multiple styles of activities in each room. You can see that with the leaderboard here in the scavenger hunt, fun and networking, right? And positioning of your sponsors. But you even go a step further within your social hub. This is a brand new experience, or brand new room to your experience that was just added recently for this event and your previous public practice conference. So for your 2020 events, didn't necessarily have a room like this. What kind of encouraged you to create a completely separate social room from the networking lounge? And I know you've probably got some notes for us here about these caricature folks and how you kind of all utilized all this. Before you jump into that, I just want to note, everybody really take note of this room. We're going to talk about it in a moment. This is, you know, the epitome of solution stacking. The team did a fantastic job of bringing together both the photo booth, a social wall, and meeting scheduling, as well as being able to use video chats for those meetings. So again, 6Connects features, partner features, all pulled together in one nice place, a lot to do. So again, team, would love to hear a little bit about the inception of this room.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I think this one definitely is the brainchild of the events experience team. And I mentioned that when COVID first hit, we got in a room and really did some brainstorming about some opportunities that what could virtual look like. A lot of what you see here actually was came to fruition in our minds a couple of years ago. And, we wanted to look at things that really engaged our audience at generic face-to-face events. And then how we could actually put that into a virtual environment. So, and underpin this whole thing is to get that engagement by having fun. Some of the other content can be, it's a lot to take in if you're sitting on your computer for 8 hours a day consuming content. We wanted opportunities for people to engage with their networks, but also just have a bit of fun. So particularly around, like with the photo booth, but the caricaturist, it was one that our team, dreamed up, and we thought, yeah, let's do it. But also then took it that extra mile where we were able to engage with our sponsors as a sponsorship opportunity to, allow them to really enhance their brand identity as well, as part of that kind of fun social network piece. And as you say, then utilising the booking scheduling to actually manage that. Was, a stroke of genius on the events team's behalf, in my opinion. So,
yeah, it's a lot of fun. And again, you guys did a fantastic job introducing it at basically a low impact, experience, right? Again, public practice, great experience. But again, with Congress, it's a much larger event. So you tried it out on this one-day event first, and again, this social wall is closed on this one, but this was kind of the first testing ground. And I love that you guys have those two different events and two different styles of events that you can kind of lean on and learn from. So again, fantastic job, guys. You've done a great job here. And I also want to just note that within this public practice event, they also tried out various different wellness content too. So again, the number of activities here is really nice. The other thing to consider with their presentations, and one thing we recommend in the Visionary program, 2 hours of presentations, then a 15-minute break for your virtual audience. That's a perfect time to encourage them to come into this area. You can encourage them to do that through broadcast messages, toolbar promos, and even promotions within the lobby there. So again, great job with this room. I am just going to hit at a very quick level here. We've got maybe about another 3 minutes, and then we got to jump to our next slides. But you guys created just a phenomenal template here in room for your various different sponsors. So this is your sponsor gallery. In your previous events, you've utilized more of a traditional type of booth style. And then even going into one of your other events, your public practice event, you guys also utilize a directory. So you've tried all different manner of kind of solution rooms, or sponsor rooms, I should say. What made you come up with this one, and what's this based off of? I know you got a story behind this.
So this was you'd have a laugh if you saw the different ideas that Meg and I put together in a Word doc trying to get our idea off to our creative partners. And they did have that stroke of genius to say that, the Guggenheim, I had to Google it after the fact to see what they were talking about, but it was literally in my mind. And again, we knew that this space was going to be a flow-through space. We knew that people were not going to engage in this space because they're moving on to the booth. But to really give our sponsors the true value that they deserve, we wanted a bit of a wow factor, something different than just clicking on something. Whereas the space you're showing now, these sponsors did not have a booth. So these sponsors in that rotating, that rotating tower, with the different levels of sponsorship, their investment and what they were actually looking to get out of it was just making sure they got their resources out. So in this space, every time you click on a logo, you'll actually just get a list of their resources. So for the investment and the expectations that the different sponsors had, they were actually able to get a lot more out of it. Setting their expectations early on is basically our key to success. And that is through, again, the different experiences that we've had across the many multiple virtual experiences.
And again, that different level of sponsor offerings is great. You're allowing different groups to kind of come in and kind of meet whatever level they can. So great job there. And I think we should just show it, your last room here. Mike or Meg, what's What's the thought behind this room? This is a first of its kind room that you haven't had it in any previous events.
So we've this again is I don't know where these ideas come from, but we've had virtual resource hubs in the past, again using the 6Connects templates, and again they were very sign heavy, whether it was on an actual wall or if they were on monitors. This is our area to showcase the rest of what CPA does, again connecting Congress to the rest of the organization and initiatives. So with the collaboration of the entirety of the CPA organization, just allowing people to click through to the website, again, allowing them to continue the journey outside of Congress and continue that engagement with CPA.
Wonderful. And again, let's take one more look at your lobby here. And again, where you guys came from originally. Wonderful first offering. And again, just an amazing experience that you've custom designed from scratch. Really wonderful. So at this point, I'm going to stop our screen share. All right, let's jump back over to our slides. And again, as you can see here, really 5 different core pillars that you want to focus in on to have a successful event. Solution stacking, as we discussed, there's really a wonderful offering out there of various different features and functionality that go even beyond the 6Connects functionality in the platform. So within the Vision Gallery, you have the new Open Universe location where you've got engagement, gamification, networking, product personalization. Say you want to design something and send out a tote bag to your virtual audience members. You can do that. Webcasting as well, such as Slido and other various elements you can integrate. So again, really consider this and consider what CPA did. They created their own solution stack. So again, there's a conversation happening between them and 6Connects here on how they're creating things even on their own. And I really want to highlight what a great job they did with that social hub room. I really think it's a first of its kind and a wonderful addition to the structure of a virtual event. So really consider and learn from what they created there and think if you want to change the culture in your type of community and virtual events as well. Again, guys, fantastic job. 2019, you guys were leading all your congresses in 10 different styles of events. Physically with 7 different countries, predominantly in metropolitan areas. And then you grew that virtually in 2020 and 2021 to 40 different countries in metropolitan, regional, and remote areas. So again, you're making a bigger impact and you're delivering a really quality experience to your attendees. So with that, I just want to say thank you, team, for joining us on this webcast. You guys have done an amazing job, and thanks so much for being open in this 6Connects community to share this with our other clients and partners. We can all learn from it together. So let's jump into a few questions here. Amy, I believe we've got, I think we've got a couple questions coming in here from the audience.
We do, yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So, first question, how did your mindset and goals change from the 2020 event to the 2021 event? Who would like to answer that?
I'll go for that one. On a strategic level, as we've mentioned in the past, it is all about our audience. So what changed from 2020, which was a virtual environment, back to 2021, is that virtual experience, really leveraging what that can be. The future is going to be hybrid in some way, shape, or form, and it'll require a whole new rethinking around that. So the mindset is not to stick to one mindset. The mindset is to collaborate, to ask questions, to ask your audience, what are they looking for? There's a lot of things we removed from 2020 into 2021 because it just wasn't resonating. So it's not about putting more, it's about putting in what's right for your audience, not just what you think is going to be fun.
Great, thanks, Mike. Okay, a couple more questions. Second one is, what were some of the most helpful lessons you learned over the last 2 years of crafting virtual events?
Go ahead, Meg.
I can take that one, Mike.
Go for it.
I think probably the biggest thing for us was that the sky's the limit, and it's sort of unshackling yourself from what you know about traditional events and some of the restrictions that things like, big convention centres all around the world, you know, all the restrictions that come in with that. Really, virtual opens up so many opportunities. It is the actual opportunity. So you've ever wanted to do anything crazy, virtual's your time to do it. And, you know, Mike, he has an amazing mind when it comes to his vision, and I'm sure that he wants us to be, you know, conferencing in space in a couple of years, for real though. So I think probably the biggest learning for us was, you know, we had a prescribed way of doing events, and that's everybody in the events industry and anybody that's putting on events. It's that mindset change, as Mike mentioned, to be really agile and allow yourself to think creatively, I think was probably the biggest one for us.
The biggest one from my perspective, real quick, the biggest one from my perspective, having done virtual, real conferences for the past 15 years, is even though this is a 3-day event and you don't have to leave the comfort of your own chair, it is still a month-long process to even get everything up and running. To actually do the work of getting those 3 days up and running is a month, not counting the year or 2 years before that, where you're planning everything and you're conceptualizing it. So Meg and her team, you know, the different time zones, the different video requirements, all these different challenges, you can't take them for granted. So you got to leave yourself enough time to go through that process and make sure that when the day comes that you're as comfortable as you would be in a face-to-face environment.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Okay, we've had one more question come through. What's next? So what are the key areas and rooms you would like to see and improve on next year?
Real quick, and I'll hand it over to Meg, because her and her team really get into that delivery. I get the luxury of coming up with the ideas. But we have toyed around with Congress in space, and coincidentally, 6Connects on this slide deck, I'm not sure if you've noticed, had an amphitheater in space. So obviously there's some great minds at 6Connects as well, but Meg and her team have a bunch of ideas, and I'm so happy to just let them run with it when it comes to that space. So Meg, any ideas for you?
Yeah, I think it's looking, reflecting on the successes of, you know, the key areas for us, and then actually how we can go bigger and better. But again, always with that member experience in mind. So the way that we kind of plan the whole experience is actually focusing on what we call the major room. So our real key deliverables, obviously Mike's requirements around delivering program is huge, so that we really focus on that main auditorium space. And as Michael said, then pushing it into it, it had its own unique precinct with the program foyer. So I think for us, it's going to be looking at what we've done, looking at the successes, as Mike said, not being afraid to fail at things and say that didn't work and that's okay. Let's look at something else. I think probably our biggest positive that virtual has allowed us to do is be really agile in the way that we think. So who knows is probably the answer, but certainly it's going to be something pretty cool. We don't like to go backwards. We're always talking about step change and how we can be making those wins. And definitely for us, that will be pushing boundaries in terms of what the space looks like. And potentially, as Mike mentioned, it doesn't necessarily even need to be in a traditional conference space anymore. I think we've taken the attendees on a bit of a journey now from that traditional walk into a ballroom, sit down, you know, have your tea and coffee. How did that translate into virtual? You know, we tested and tried some things with networking, as Michael highlighted. That some of that didn't work, so we readjusted. So I think that we're certainly not going to be throwing the baby out with the bathwater and starting again, because I think, you know, we're all super proud of what we achieved this year, and but we do like to be leading in this space. We like that we're at the forefront of trying new things, and I think probably as Michael set this whole thing up was, yes, we had some amazing ideas, but from the moment that we met Michael Chance and he introduced this, the Visionary Gallery to us, it really inspired us to push ourselves. So, Michael, I'm going to throw that back on you as a challenge and say, what's next for us? Because we'll be watching, and we'll.
There's good stuff coming. There's good stuff coming. Let me just say, the roadmap is exciting me. 2022 is going to be a big year, and we're all very excited for what's coming next. But
awesome.
Meg, Michael, Amy, thank you so much for joining today. It was a pleasure having this, kind of deep dive into your virtual experiences. Again, tremendous kudos to you guys. 2 years of labor and work, and I think everybody sees the success that you guys have kind of put in the virtual realm here. So wonderful job. We know it does. It's not. There's no easy button to do this. You guys did a really fantastic job. So thank you all, and again, thank you all for listening. And for the most part, if you have any questions about how to take your virtual experience to the next level, let us know. Talk to your CSM, talk to your sales rep or your PM. We'd love to have a consultation and assist you. So thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.